Hi, everyone.
How's it going?
Welcome to episode number 17 of Web Analytics TV.
All right. There it is.
And before I start the episode, I want to congratulate my co-anchor, Nick, for winning the WAA Rising Star Award. He was one of the 5 finalists for the Rising Star Award, and we're very proud of Nick and the work that he does here, as well as at Google. All kinds of juicy things behind the scenes to make the tool better. So we're proud of you, buddy.
So it's all the people who are voting.
There you go. Yes. So thank you all for voting for Nick as well. All right, let's go.
Let's go. First question is for you, Avinash. This is from Ram Kashula in New Delhi. Dear Avinash, running paid campaigns in Facebook and various publishers, but the click-to-visit ratio has the variation of 70%. Facebook reports say that 100 clicks, but GA displays just 25 visits. Can I understand the variation of 10 to 20%, but here's 70%?
Yeah, it's nice that he understands the difference, 10 to 20%. That's right.
A
sign of a true ninja, you know. But it's important to understand that clicks are not the same as the visits. So if you saw your own campaign on Facebook a bunch of times, and then you clicked on it 10 times and came to the website multiple times, it might have caused just one visit if you did all that within 30 minutes. And it doesn't matter if you're using Omniture or Google Analytics, it really doesn't matter. But the other thing to think about there is that it is important to make sure that the URLs have the right tracking parameters.
Right.
Because most of the consumption of social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook is all happening inside mobile apps and other kinds of applications, and they don't pass a referrer. So when you're linking your campaigns from Facebook into your website, make sure that you use the right tracking parameters. For Google Analytics, it's the UTM parameters. For Omniture, it would be different, etc. But make sure if your campaign parameters are tagged correctly on the landing page where the campaign is sending the traffic, then that click will be captured correctly for the person coming to the site. So most of the time for social media platforms, ensuring that your landing pages for the campaigns are tagged ensures that your delta stays around 10%, which it always will.
So I'm hearing two things there. That clicks and visits are two different metrics. They're apples and oranges comparing them, and that you have to use the campaign tracking parameters to get better metrics.
Exactly, for the apps, etc.
Fantastic.
Good. Here's a question for you. Ayana from Bangalore asks, it would be great if Google Analytics allows multiple conditions for setting up goals. I think we can, Nick.
I think we can. So within Google Analytics, you can set a goal on any page. You can now set a goal on any event. And you can set also a goal on any behavior, like time on site or page per visit. For setting them on either events or pages, you can use a regular expression. And then regular expressions allow you to use the OR operator. So you can match a group of pages or one page or different pages. So using the regular expression is the right way to have different conditions for goals.
Right, so you can be very sophisticated. And we'll add a link to some regex help, etc.
The other one thing I want to point out is that goals count one. You know, when somebody either meets a criteria, they get incremented for their entire session. And so you could do the same thing with advanced segments. So you can use advanced segments and create very complex expressions, then apply advanced segments whether somebody's met that condition or not, and apply that to any reports.
Exactly. Actually, sometimes, you know, these are sort of throwaway goals in the sense that I have a question in my head right now, and rather than going into Google Analytics admin settings and creating all these kinds of things, I just go into advanced segment, create my little thing, say test segment on the top right, boom, I have an answer.
That's it, yeah.
I don't really need to keep it around.
It's pretty powerful, yeah.
Exactly. So that good one, Nick. Here's another one for you, Nick, as well. And this is from Claudia in Luxembourg. And she says, is there an easy way to flip advanced segments so I could create one advanced segment and then easily switch between seeing everything that does not match this segment and seeing everything that does not match this segment, essentially, in quote unquote.
Sure.
So good use case here.
Yeah, no, definitely a good use case. So what you can do in advanced segments is create a new one and then use the does not contain clause to create the opposite one. So you still have to create a different segment, but it's a great feature request to simplify that process.
So at the moment, if she wants the inverse of the segment, she would have to just create another one. Just change the condition.
Exactly.
Okay, that's great.
So here's a question from you from Zodios in Kiev. Hello, please tell me how to get the data from the intersection of the audience from different sources. That is the percentage of users who go to the site first and then come back to the site from a different source.
So that's a good question. Sadly, no good answer for this question, unfortunately. So At the moment, you can't do this within Google Analytics, and that's why we wanted to answer this question and let you know that. But we'll definitely pass this on to the team as a feature request. I can think of a few scenarios where it might be of value to know this stuff. I do know that recently, for example, in the search funnel reports that are in Google Analytics, you are able to track that Nick had originally visited my blog as an example on let's say, Avinash is great, that search query. And then he visited another time and he searched for advanced segmentation. And I can actually see that. But for referrers at the moment, there isn't an easy way to do this in Google Analytics. But we'll take it back to the team. Here's a question for you from Japan, all the way from Japan, Nick. And the question is, if the website optimizer could tag A/B test pages for A/B segmentation in Google Analytics, so engagement goals like bounce rate and time on site could be set, surely this would be a great SEO aid and be great for improving page quality score in AdWords. So let me answer the second part, Nick, before I hand this over to you. It's important to realize that testing and experimentation itself does not influence your quality score in AdWords. There's nothing you can do and cannot do within Google Analytics that can improve your quality score. So I want to be clarifying that. There is the quality of your landing page as configured in the AdWords campaign when visited by the Google bot is a component of the quality score. But there's nothing to do with Website Optimizer, nothing to do with Google Analytics. I want to be very clear.
Very
we don't want to, I know.
Answer.
We don't want to get into the middle of this. But anyway, Nick, so Website Optimizer stuff, measuring, bounce rate, etc. How do we do that?
So in Website Optimizer, you have one conversion goal, and that's typically a page or a group of pages.
Correct.
Website Optimizer does work loosely with Google Analytics. And so what you would do is, with Website Optimizer, you have an experiment ID. You pass the experiment ID in a Google Analytics custom variable. And once we're collecting that, then you could apply any segment with those different experiments and apply that segment to any of your reports. So whether you want to look at bounce rate, conversion rate, any kind of metric in analytics, as long as you have that value in custom variables, as a session level custom variable, you should be good to go.
Yeah, no, it's fabulous advice.
Great. So question for you, Avinash, from Zodios from Kiev again. Hello. How best to track the usage of internal banners? Is it better to tag internal banners using URLs with campaign tracking parameters, or via virtual page views or even events?
Yeah, I think it is a great idea to track them as internal campaigns. You just change the UTM parameters so there is some logic to it. UTM source internal, and then medium and everything else you can configure automatically. That's probably the cleanest way to do it. In that case, you really don't have to do anything else in terms of events or in terms of fake page views, etc., because your campaign tracking parameters will be captured by Google Analytics, stored in your campaign reports. I think you just segment them out. You can just create advanced segments, and you should be able to report that. If you wanted to use those internal campaign clicks as goals, for that scenario, then of course you should use event tracking as the most sort of scalable, clean way of doing it. And now that in Google Analytics you're able to set events as goals, that should be a really clean way to do it without ever having to go down the route of fake page views.
So yeah, I also would recommend the best way to do it is using event tracking.
That's right.
Because if you start using these campaign tracking parameters, you'll mix them up with the actual referrals, and then you'll have no idea what you're looking at. So keep them separate, keep them as events. You can set them as goals. You should be golden.
Okay, perfect. So here's a question for you from Mint in Australia. I think I know who Mint is.
Ooh. Is it a female or a male?
No, it's a male, a good friend of ours. The killer feature that seems to be missing in Google Analytics, oh goodness gracious, is a copy of Omniture's test and target.
That sounds weird. The killer feature is a copy.
I don't know that people, our friends at Adobe, probably like that. Anyway, that allows you to target A/B tests on customer profiles and custom variables. Did I miss something, or is this not really possible? So essentially, I think that what Mint is trying to do is do some behavior targeting based on some of the information connected to testing.
Sure.
So I think there is
so
way.
Google Analytics doesn't by itself do behavioral targeting.
Correct.
But we do have third-party solution providers that have integrated with analytics that do provide behavioral targeting. For example, BT Buckets is a solution we've highlighted in our app gallery, and they allow you to find different segments of users. For example, people who visit more than certain pages. And then within their custom code and their product, they can then do the targeting. So they have some interesting integrations. We will send a link so you can take a look at their solution.
It's very good, yeah. And in fact, in that scenario, Zeodos from Kiev could take the BT buckets and target the ads internally on the site, behaviorally target them to make it even more relevant and get sort of higher clicks or conversions.
Yeah.
That's sweet. One more for you, Nick, from Shailendra Dubey in Hyderabad.
Oh, this is a friend. Yeah,
I know. Hello, Shailendra. Yeah. Hi, Nick and Avinash. I have a URL, abc.com/article ? After the rewrite of this URL, it will display as abc.com/en-us/article to the user. So in Google Analytics report, which URL will show up, the original one or the rewritten one?
Yeah, okay.
Should be simple.
So at the end of the day, whatever URL is in the browser address bar is what Google Analytics will pick up and then do the reporting on. So technically, it's window.location.href. So if you take that parameter, whatever it's set, it's sending the data to Analytics. Every time data is sent, there's actually an image request that's being sent to google-analytics.com. So if you look for that image request, there's a parameter, UTMP, that actually defines the exact value that's in the top content report. So we'll send a link to how you can interpret and troubleshoot what data is being sent, so you can figure out exactly what data is going to be reported on.
Exactly. So in this case, it depends a little bit on their platform and how they've implemented
Slightly,
it.
yeah. But we'll give you the tools to show you what you're sending and why it's reporting as such.
Great.
So here's a question for you, Avinash. The question's from Tyler in Indianapolis. We recently redesigned our website and used tabs to consolidate some short pages. This affected our pages per visit metric. I send fake page view on tab click, i.e. HTML/tab name. We see tab rank and get paper visit metric back. Is this cheating?
Cheating?
Yeah. I mean, how are they cheating?
I know. So Tyler, it's not clear what you're trying to do. So if you are running a website where you are getting paid by per page view, then maybe it is cheating. But the fact that people are switching from one tab to the next, so from overview to specifications to photos, as an example, are 3 different tabs. Those essentially are 3 page views that are happening on your website. And so reporting them into Google Analytics or Omniture or Web Trends using something like a fake page view is not really sort of inflating the page count in any way, because that's happening. But if you're worried that this is happening and you have some business model that we don't understand here, then you can switch to using event tracking or using one of those methodologies in order to move away from the page view methodology to collect the tab views and switch to event tracking. That would be the most cleanest, scalable way. It's not inflating your page views in any way, and you should be able to go on your merry way.
Definitely agree.
So here's a question all the way from Hamburg in Germany by Mario, Nick.
All right.
And he said, is there a way to know the reach of single keywords like shoes instead of phrases like red shoes, green shoes, black shoes, so I can see the interest of different products instead of searching for them in the long tail? Thank you for Webantix TV. Well, that's great.
All right.
What do you think, Nick? Help him out.
Okay, so let's define this question a little bit. So you mentioned reach. There's actually no real reach metric in analytics. The most analogous one would be unique visitors. But then, of course, it could be any visits or whatever. So we'll assume you mean unique visitors.
So how many unique visitors or visits are occurring for the word shoes rather than the phrases in which it appears?
Right.
That's a question.
Great.
Okay.
And so there's a couple ways. So you can definitely answer this question with Google Analytics. The steps to doing so are simple. You first create a custom report. You look at keywords versus unique visitors. Simple.
Yeah,
and then the second thing is you create an advanced segment for all people that match a particular phrase. For example, red shoes. And then we'll create another advanced segment for people who match green shoes. And then we can apply both advanced segments to the keyword report. And now we can compare what's the total number of visitors from each of those.
Yeah, exactly. Or even you create advanced segments for contains shoes. And the scorecard on top of the report gives Mario exactly what he wants.
Absolutely.
Or the trick that you've taught me, which is to use the filter at the bottom of the keyword report.
You can use
Just
that
type in shoes, boom, you don't even have to create an advanced segment. So I would recommend following Nick's original recommendation for a custom report. So I love custom reports. And if you want to answer in a repeatable manner, that's the best way to do it.
Yep.
If you want a quick and dirty answer, look at the bottom of the table. There's a filter, type in shoes, hit enter, boom, look at the scorecard for the summary and the table itself for the individual phrases within which the word shoes is contained. So
Absolutely.
two scalable ways of doing it.
Sweet.
Another one for you, Nick, here. Unfortunately, the name's not here.
But it's a good question.
It's a great question. It's a great question. We love both of these things.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. Advanced segments versus custom variables. Keen to understand the differences and advantages. Example, visitor visits the store locator page. I can advance segment by page or set a custom variable. What advantages do custom variables offer? Would the data be the same?
Okay.
It's a very good question.
It's a good question. We're going to take a second to just answer some concepts about this. The high-level takeaway is that custom variables are sent in the tracking code, whereas and that whatever data is sent is whatever we report on. Whereas advanced segments, you can apply them ad hoc after the data is collected,
Yes.
and it gives you a little bit more flexibility. Now, the actual type of data that we're sending for both of them are slightly different. So let's take a step back. Let's understand what's the model that we're working with. So a visitor visits the site and views a bunch of pages or interacts with the content. So there's three levels in Google Analytics. There's the visitor, the session, or the hit and page. So those are three distinct levels. Now, with custom variables, you could set any sort of metadata or any key value pair on either the visitor, session, or hit page level, right? So you can set more data on any of those, and in the reports, you get the aggregated view of every time that shows up. With advanced segments, they only operate on the session level. And so what advanced segments do is, you imagine there are many people visiting your site, so there's many sessions. And what they'll do is they'll filter out a subset of those sessions. For example, all sessions that had more than $500 in revenue in the session. And then they'll apply the reports on top of that. From which country did they visit the most? So you're only looking at session level metrics, and then you're applying all the data on top of them. So the data looks a little bit funky when you start to apply an advanced segment at page or hit level. So if you say, show me all, apply an advanced segment to this particular page, we'll then find all sessions of which one of those pages occurred. We'll return all sessions, and then we'll give you metrics across all the sessions.
And we clean data.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. So there's a very thorough answer. So in cases where you need to use page level or visitor level, it's better to use custom variables. In places where you need more ad hoc filtering, it's better to use advanced segments.
Yeah. So in this scenario, Nick, can I go into Google Analytics and I can set, when I go to Walmart.com and I do a search on the store locator for 94043, a custom variable can be set on my visit at a visitor scope level, the highest level.
Sure.
Then when I come back 3 or 4 days later and submit an order on Walmart.com, can that be then identified with Google Analytics?
Absolutely. So
that's a great use of custom variables.
Exactly.
Because with segmentation,
right,
that would not be possible.
Right, exactly. So advanced segments only happen within a session.
Yes.
The visitor level custom variable applies
session.
pan session,
I
which
love
is
it.
very powerful.
I love it. And I love pan session analysis. I mean, I've written about this on my blog a lot, about how pan session analysis can be good, very useful. So, and here's a great scenario where you could see if the store locator caused people to buy in subsequent sessions on the site. I mean, it's a fabulous thing to analyze.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Great question. Okay, so a question for you, Avinash, from Yuli in Singapore. It would be great if you come up with a tool to help us test our regular expressions against existing data, especially given its importance in filters and goals. Currently, it's all done through trial and error, alternative regex checkers.
So there are some third-party ones that are available, and we'll try and find and some link them in the show notes. But here's the important thing for Yuhui. You can actually test your regular expression in many different places. One is Nick's favorite place that I just mentioned, which is at the bottom of the report. Pick any report that you would have applied this regex to anyway. So let's say the keyword report, page report, whatever. At the bottom of the table, you see the filter area. Type in your regular expression and hit enter. See what comes back.
Right.
And if it works fabulously, you'll know that it works very well there.
Absolutely.
Another one where I end up using a lot more is in the advanced segmentation area, where the condition will be uses regular expression. I type in my regular expression for the dimension that I'm going to apply the regular expression to, and in the top right, I just hit test, and boom, I know what's happening. If a number comes back, I know I'm on the right path. I can also save that segment and then go apply to the report where I would have used the regular expressions. and then I can validate the data is also correct. So again, two very easy places in Google Analytics without having to go anywhere outside to not only validate your regular expression, but then also quick and dirty, look at the data itself and make sure that it's kind of what you wanted to see in the first place.
And just as a tip to the ninjas out there watching the show, this is the way that we test goal configurations. Like many people are saying, why are my goals showing 0? So the first thing we do is we take the expression that you've put in the goal filter, go to the top content report, put it in there, and if nothing shows up, we know the expression's wrong, right? So that's how we exactly test that.
So Nick, you provide tech support? Everybody, Nick at... No, I'm kidding.
No. I'm kidding. They usually go to you, and then you ask me. Okay.
Here's one for you from our good friend Peter from Eindhoven in Netherlands. And he asks, I have two sites that send data to UA123-1 and to UA543-1 using underscore set account and b._ set account. For each site, only the first set account changes. Second account is used as a master. I only see data from site 1 in master account. Any ideas why? Is Peter making his life harder than it needs to be?
Well, we've had a lot of, Peter's definitely one of the ninjas out there. And so most people won't have to do this, but this is specifically for Peter. For larger sites, sometimes they'll have multiple accounts to do like a master roll-up, and then each kind of division within an organization has a separate account. So Peter, I would definitely go through the troubleshooting doc we have and make sure that requests are being sent from your side to analytics, just to make sure that you're properly configuring it. The second thing is, without looking at your code, again, it's hard to tell, but I would imagine that you need to make sure that you're tracking the page view for both the tracker objects that you're creating on the page. So take a look at that. Take a look, make sure the requests are being sent.
Perfect.
Great. So a question for you here from Def in Israel.
Def. Love that name.
Hi, I'm looking for the option to compare two websites that I own in the same dashboards. Thanks, from Daniel in Israel.
Then what was the Def?
Maybe
if he wanted to be anonymous.
It could be a short name. Yeah, I don't know. I like Def.
Me too. So Daniel, there are a whole bunch of ways. When we wrote down the answers, there was only one, but there are a whole bunch of ways.
Yeah.
API, go to the app gallery that Nick has lovingly created, because there are a whole bunch of extensions there, applications, including many in Excel that allow you to bring all kinds of data together and do stuff. But the one we do want to recommend here is one by our good friend Timo Aden from Germany, who we love and adore.
Yep.
And Timo has created an application called Trackboard. And we'll link to it in the show notes. But Trackboard, I love using Trackboard because in my view that I have, I can see data for my blog, I can see data for my startup market motive, and then I can see data for our Google Analytics account, everything in one place, in one dashboard. I can also choose the metrics that I want to see in the individual bucket. So Timo's done a really great job, and that's the app I think that you're looking for here, and we'll link to it.
It's been translated in many languages too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Timo rocks.
He rocks.
Here's one for you.
This is one for you, Avinash.
Oh, darn it.
Darn it. This is from Lucas in Munich. When I look at my campaign reports, I have several goals with conversion rates over 100%.
Why not? What's wrong with getting more than 100% conversion?
One engagement goal of 4+ minutes on the site, even had a whooping 1,825%.
What's the complaint
conversion
here?
rate? How can this be, and how can I fix it?
So Lucas, it's important to understand that the overall conversion rate computation within Google Analytics will measure all the goals that have been met during that area.
And the transactions.
And the transactions. So on my blog, as an example, I have 8 goals defined.
Mm-hmm.
And so a goal is, I have an engagement goal for the number of page views you see. I have a goal that you clicked and went to buy my book. I have a goal that you spent X amount of time, or I have many goals. Now, during a single session, if let's say Nick visits my blog and he sees, he reads 2 or 3 blog posts, well, goal number 1 met. Then he clicks on the link and to buy my book, goal number 2 met. He comes back within less than 29 minutes, and he then clicks on the Market Motive link to go to Market Motive to sign up for the Market Motive online education certification. Goal number 3 met, and now for next session, I have 300% conversion rate.
Yeah.
So it's important to realize when you look at goal conversion rate in Google Analytics, it does have more than 100% conversion. So just be aware of how that metric is being used. Now, you should still be able to individually report each of the 3 goals separately, and that's all clean and nice. But remember that when you use the overall conversion rate, which is on the dashboard of the goals report on the bottom left. That's the one that we're talking about.
And another thing to point out is in custom reports, you can actually look at the actual number of goals completed.
Correct.
I think it's goal conversion, goal and conversion.
Yes. Values.
Values.
So
you can get the actual values and figure out and do your own calculations.
Fabulous, fabulous. Here's a question for you all the way from Cleveland, Ohio by Scott, and he asks, how come Webantics TV isn't offered as a downloadable podcast on iTunes? While I enjoy watching your videos, I could see podcast users getting a lot of benefit out of simply listening to your discussions and subscribing to it.
Yeah.
What the hell is up with that, Nick?
It's a great feature request. We can look into it.
I know. If only Steve Jobs had made it easier for us to just take our YouTube and put it over there. But Nick has promised to check this out, and we'll put an MP3 or a video podcast or something. So.
Avinash wants to be part of Steve's empire.
Why not? Everybody else already is.
All right, there you go. Okay, Avinash, question for you. Who is this? This is by Scott in Atlanta.
Oh, different Scott. Different Scott, yeah.
Okay. Is there an easy way to track the download of PDF files?
So let's mix this with the question for Nerd Stalker in San Francisco, California.
Ooh.
Nerd Stalker, come on.
So
what he wanted was an automated way to track all the downloads. So we'll combine these 2 questions.
I like it.
And so one simple way is to use event tracking. That's the cleanest way. And now you can set events as goal. Hallelujah. So you should be able to use that as a clean way without fake page views, etc. So you can do it manually, of course, just encode the event, and we'll add to a help desk article that tells you exactly how to do it. But what you can do that we were going to answer for Nerd Stalker is that there's also an automated script available for one of our GACs called Analytics Pros. And our good friend Caleb has created an APE, Analytics
Pros Engine.
There, oh, genius. And the free version of the APE allows you to automatically tag your entire site without you having to do too much extra work. Just add the little tag on along with the Google Analytics code. It auto tags everything. You'll be able to track form submissions automatically. You'll be able to track exit links automatically. You'll be able to track downloads automatically. So those 3 features are available as a free offering. The APE does other things as well, and you'll have to pay for those. But these 3 things are available for free, and we'll link to Caleb's site.
Yep. So
both of you guys can get that. Here's a question all the way from Nokia in Finland. I should be able to say that, Finland. From SJC. Can I use events for to track more realistic time on site, or does it need to be fake page views?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so for time on site, you can definitely use events. There's 2 ways to use events. The way we use them on our code.google.
Hang on.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
What do you mean, like more realistic time on site? So we already compute time on site. The thing that we're not able to compute across any web analytics tool, by the way, is that if you only came and saw 1 page view and you left, we don't have the second timestamp as a diff. Or for the last page that you viewed in your session, also we don't have a timestamp for when you left or et cetera, et cetera. So those are scenarios where any web analytics tool without your extra hacking doesn't have the second timestamp.
Sure.
But there are some hacky ways to do this in any web analytics tool. Is there a good hacky way to do it in Google Analytics?
So you could definitely keep a timer maybe potentially going on.
But it adds weight to your pages, doesn't it?
Well, no, I mean, if it's a very small timer, you can get better, for every 10 seconds, you could fire an event.
I see. Got it.
And you can keep on incrementing the value, and then you get the total value. And just one clarification, our good friend Shagnik, who was on the last show,
the
way he calculates time on site, he actually, for the last page, he actually takes into account any time within the last event.
Yes, exactly. So you'll get it just by automatically firing off your
events. You're automatically. So you probably have a little timer that fires off events. That also could give you better resolution on time on page as well. So definitely you could look into that.
That's great. Another one, quick one from Arpit in Gurgaon, India. I'm using Eloqua as a lead gen tool for GA. When somebody's coming from Google, fills out a form, they go to Eloqua for a second and then come back to GA. And the referral site keeps showing Eloqua as the referrer. So in this way, is there a way to overwrite or not have the Eloqua be the referrer?
That's a good question. In our tracking code, there's a method called add ignored referral. We'll put a link to it, and pretty much what it does is exactly what you says. Anytime you define this referral from a local, it will just report that as direct in analytics. It won't affect the session, and it won't affect the previous campaign. So we'll send a link on how you set that up. It's pretty easy, and you should be good to go.
Good, thank you, Nick. And I'll quickly thank a few people. Sorry, I had to duck down to get the papers. Who submitted great feedback requests. Jordan from Atlanta, Georgia, had a great feature request related to moving the delete profile link. Thank you, Jordan. And we've got a feature request from Adam in Bainbridge, USA. And it was about the annotation features being shared across multiple profiles. That's a good one, Adam. Thank you. We've got a feature request from Tony all the way in New Plymouth, New Zealand. And it was about allowing multiple profiles to be linked to AdWords account, single AdWords account. Good one. Eric in Stockholm had a question on having predefined buckets instead of using the time chooser in Google Analytics to just pick the last year or the last quarter as an example. And we had a couple of anonymous requests that I can't credit anybody, but Anthony from Boynton Beach in Florida as well had a great advanced segment UI request. Thank you, Anthony. And finally, Will J. from Wisconsin had a great question around tracking site links and product extensions in Google Analytics. So thank you, Will. We'll make sure that we pass all of these back to the core team, and they'll prioritize these higher as they think about the next versions of Google Analytics. And before we close the episode, we want to give the ninja of the episode award to Anonymous, number 15, the question number 15. We don't know who it was. We're going to try and find out who it is. But
what was the question?
If you ask the question about advanced segmentation versus custom variables to understand differences between the two, and Nick gave such a beautiful answer to it, please email me. My email is on my blog on the right nav, and we will send you a signed copy of Web Analytics 2.0. So please find us and email me, and a copy of the book will be on your way. So thank you for your questions. It's been an exciting episode, yep. Nick. And please click on the link on the top right of the video or in this blog post to submit questions for the future episodes.
Yep, thank you.
Happy analytics.